Out of all the amazing women that you worked with and that you collaborated with over your time at the UN, what is a common characteristic that you saw in almost all of them?
They're brave because they're willing to come out and talk about it. Because in some countries, women aren't even considered humans, they're possessions. I mean, they're the same as if you own a cow or a horse or a house, you own a wife. And so for those women to step up and be willing to come out and make a difference, they could be killed for
Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us here today. My name is Komal, and I'm pleased to be speaking with United Nations Delegate on the Commission Status of Women, Nancy Butler. Nancy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's my pleasure. Well, let's get started with your background at Seroptimus International as well as your role at the UN.
So, how did I get into the United Nations? And this will tell you a lot about that. Seroptimus International is an international women's organization that I have belonged to for over 35 years. They are one of the NGOs that's connected to the United Nations. It's during the Commission on the Status of Women, and it's held at the United Nations in New York City.
Great, thank you. So, in general, how would you describe your experience working at the UN?
There's a lot of things really amazing. I would say being a part of the United Nations is really a milestone in my life.
Absolutely, I can imagine. And more specifically, what was the experience like to witness so many different women from different backgrounds who grew up in different environments, who speak different languages, to, all come together and solve some of the largest issues facing women in our time?
I experienced thousands of smart, amazing women from all over the world. And what was great was I saw no politics. It was all best practices. It was sharing what their issues were and other women saying, oh, we worked on that already. Here's what we did. I've always been a firm believer that we learn from the environment we grow up in. We know what we see around us, but we don't know about the challenges that the rest of the world has or how severe it can be. And this was really an opportunity to meet with amazing women from all over the world and learn what life is like outside of our bubble, because you only know what you know.
I definitely agree. I think that sounds like an amazing opportunity to meet all these different people from different backgrounds, and not only to witness that, but also to see how that influences decision making and how that changes some of the collaboration that takes place with so many different people on a specific issue. So yeah, that's definitely such an important thing and such an amazing opportunity. And regarding the said collaboration, I also have a question regarding how technology facilitated some of these discussions that took place at the UN, especially since, not everyone spoke the same language.
The technology, that's me sitting at my seat, and you can see what the technology looks like. The technology there is absolutely amazing. I mean, 10,000 women from all over the world attend this event in New York City. Most of them don't speak English, but the sessions at the UN are in multiple languages. There could be 1,000 people, 500 people in the room speaking 40 different languages, and we all hear it in our own language, which was amazing.
That's amazing. Well, let's look at, some of the issues that this technology was used for. What is a specific issue that you worked on in your time at the UN that you think is especially important?
Let me tell you one thing that will give you an example of what I'm talking about. I never would have thought of this, but technology in a lot of parts of the world, because we have technology, in a lot of parts of the world, it's a huge problem. And here's why. A lot of the financial assistance they used to get in third world countries, now you have to apply for online. Number one, they have never seen a computer. They don't know how to use a computer. They can't afford a computer. There are none near them. There is no internet. They may not even have electricity. So how do they now go and fill out these forms so that they can get the financial assistance that they got a couple of years ago? Real problem. So Malaysia had a session that I was in on for 2 hours explaining how they solved the problem. The Malaysia government put up over 1,000 kiosks all over Malaysia, and they have people at them teaching anyone who can get themselves there free of charge how to use the computer and to actually have computer time.
Wow.
There are now women all over Malaysia that have gotten their high school educations that they never would have gotten otherwise because they did it online, got their college diplomas, which they never would have because now they can because they've got it online. They even took a lot of these third world countries make money by the crafts that they make and then they sell them. They taught them how to set up online businesses. And now they're bringing money into the country that never was there before. And before, you were selling to someone else who also had no money, or you had to barter and you'd swap, I'll give you this that I made if you give me that you made. But now they're bringing money into the country that the country never had before. Absolutely amazing. So that's what I mean by um, bringing up issues and then sharing solutions.
That is such an amazing representation of how such a large problem can be solved. The right people come together and work on it. So thank you so much for sharing that experience of yours. And that does also bring up another question. Out of all the amazing women that you worked with and that you collaborated with over your time in the UN, what is a common characteristic that you saw in almost all of them?
Number one, they care. Number two, they're brave because they're willing to come out and talk about it. Because in some countries, women aren't even considered humans, they're possessions. You're not even allowed to own anything. You're just, they're the same as if you own a cow or a horse or a house, you own a wife. And so for those women to step up against the man being that way and be willing to come out and make a difference, they could be killed for it. So it's caring, it's finding ways around the issues, and it's wanting to make a difference badly enough that you're willing to step up and do what you have to make it happen. I mean, some of the horror stories I heard were absolutely horrible. And then the difference in what came out of it was absolutely amazing.
Well, I mean, that's absolutely terrifying to know that so many women are in that spot and that a lot of us don't even know about it. But at the same time, it's heroic. So many of those women actually put themselves at risk just for a chance to change that situation for other women. That's absolutely amazing. And just going off of that topic, adding on to that, I do have a question for you. What is some advice you'd give to young women who are in a sexist workplace?
Living in a man's world in this type of environment can be difficult. What I would say is you need to have confidence that you know what you're doing in your field, whatever that field is. We've made the environment better in understanding where our place is, and our place is anywhere we want it to be.
Definitely, I completely agree. Thank you so much for coming today. It was a pleasure to have you here, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate this conversation. Just the things that I've learned and some of the exposure that I've gained from your experiences it's beyond words. It's amazing. Some of the things that you've witnessed, some of the issues that you've worked on, it's truly amazing. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences.
And thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad I was able to contribute. And if everyone can walk away with just one idea that they will implement and make a difference in their life, then I did my job.